Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. When you hear the name Epicurus, what comes to mind? For many, it's a life of endless parties, extravagant feasts, and unchecked indulgence. But what if I told you that's one of the biggest misunderstandings in philosophy? Today, we're diving deep into the true teachings of Epicurus, an ancient Greek thinker whose ideas are more relevant now than ever. We'll explore how his concept of pleasure wasn't about fleeting thrills, but about achieving a profound and lasting state of inner peace. So let's journey together from what we think is pleasure to what truly brings us peace. Epicurus lived in a turbulent time, much like our own, filled with political uncertainty and social anxiety. He saw people chasing after wealth, fame, and power, only to end up more stressed and unhappy. His solution was a philosophy centered on one goal: attaining Ataraxia, a state of serene calmness, free from fear and worry. He believed this was the highest form of pleasure. Let's look at his first profound quote: "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for." Think about that for a moment. How often do we get caught up in the next big thing? The new phone, the better job, the bigger house. We're constantly living in the future, in a state of wanting. Epicurus reminds us to practice gratitude. The things we often take for granted today, our health, a roof over our heads, a friend to talk to, were once aspirations. By appreciating what we already possess, we shift our focus from a mindset of lack to one of abundance. This simple change in perspective is the first step toward reducing the constant mental chatter of desire and finding contentment right here, right now. It's not about giving up ambition, but about grounding our happiness in the present moment, not in some far-off, uncertain future. Now let's address the big P word: pleasure. For Epicurus, pleasure was the starting point and the end goal of a happy life. But his definition was radically different from ours. He said, "The art of living well and the art of dying well are one." This wasn't about a live fast, die young mentality. It was about living so wisely and peacefully that death loses its sting. He distinguished between two types of pleasures: kinetic pleasures and static pleasures. Kinetic pleasures are the active, fleeting ones, like eating a delicious meal or listening to a great song. They're good, but they're temporary and often lead to a desire for more. The real goal for Epicurus was static pleasure. This is the pleasure of being, not the pleasure of doing. It's the state of contentment that arises when you have no pain, no hunger, no thirst, and no fear. It's the quiet joy of a mind at peace. He famously argued that the greatest pleasure one can experience is simply the absence of pain and disturbance. This is why his lifestyle was surprisingly simple. It wasn't about luxury. It was about having just enough to satisfy our natural and necessary desires. This brings us to another key quote: "Not what we have, but what we enjoy constitutes our abundance." It's a powerful reminder that the quality of our experience, not the quantity of our possessions, is what truly makes us rich. So how do we get there? Epicurus laid out a practical path, and a huge part of it was managing our desires. He sorted them into three categories. First, the natural and necessary desires. These are the basics: food, water, shelter, and safety. They are easy to satisfy and bring great pleasure when met. Fulfilling them is essential for a tranquil life. Second, there are the natural but unnecessary desires. Think of gourmet food instead of simple bread, or a luxurious mansion instead of a comfortable home. Epicurus wasn't strictly against these things, but he warned that they can easily lead to trouble. They are harder to satisfy, and their absence can cause pain and anxiety. If you get used to drinking expensive wine every day, simple water might start to feel like a punishment. Chasing these desires often creates more stress than the pleasure they provide. Finally, we have the vain and empty desires. These are for things like fame, immense wealth, and political power. Epicurus saw these as toxic. They are unnatural, limitless, and fueled by society's false opinions. No amount of fame or money is ever enough. Chasing them is like trying to fill a leaky jar, a recipe for perpetual dissatisfaction and anxiety. As he put it, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." True wealth for Epicurus was having few needs. One of the most essential ingredients for an Epicurean life, and perhaps the most beautiful part of his philosophy, is friendship. He established a community called the Garden just outside Athens, where he and his friends lived, learned, and supported each other. It was a sanctuary from the chaos of the city. For him, friendship was not a mere luxury, it was a cornerstone of happiness and security. He famously stated, "Of all the things which wisdom provides to make life entirely happy, much the greatest is the possession of friendship." Why was friendship so important? Because genuine friends provide a sense of safety and support that money or power never can. They offer a sounding board for our worries, celebrate our joys, and provide help in times of need. In a world that can often feel isolating, knowing you have a circle of trusted companions is a powerful antidote to fear and anxiety. It creates a private world of mutual kindness and understanding. This wasn't about networking or social climbing. It was about forging deep, authentic connections based on trust and shared values. For Epicurus, a simple meal shared with a good friend was more pleasurable than the most lavish banquet eaten alone. Finally, a core part of achieving ataraxia, or peace of mind, is conquering our fears, especially the fear of death and the divine. Epicurus was a materialist. He believed everything was made of atoms, including our souls. Therefore, he argued, death is simply the end of consciousness. It is nothing to us. As he logically explained, death does not concern us, because as long as we exist, death is not here. And when it does come, we no longer exist. Worrying about something we will never experience is irrational. By removing the fear of death, we are liberated to live fully in the present. He applied a similar logic to the gods. He didn't deny their existence, but he argued that perfect, blissful beings would not trouble themselves with the messy affairs of mortals. They wouldn't be angry, vengeful, or demanding. The idea of gods punishing or rewarding us was to him a superstition that caused immense anxiety. By seeing the gods as tranquil role models rather than cosmic puppet masters, he freed people from religious fear. This freedom from fear of death, of the gods, of the future, is the final key that unlocks the door to a truly peaceful and pleasant life. So as we've seen, Epicurus offers us not a path of wild hedonism, but a thoughtful and gentle guide to lasting happiness. His wisdom is a call to simplify, to appreciate what we have, to cherish our friends, and to free our minds from irrational fears. It's about finding joy in the simple, sustainable pleasures of a life lived wisely. It's a journey from the frantic chase for pleasure to the serene arrival at peace. In our noisy, hyper-connected, and often overwhelming world, the calm, quiet wisdom of Epicurus's garden feels more like a necessary sanctuary than ever before. Thank you so much for joining me on this philosophical journey today. What do you think? Do Epicurus's ideas about pleasure and peace resonate with you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more ideas that can enrich your life, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. Until next time, live wisely and find your peace.